So tell us more about this game. What is the premise of this game? Because looking through it, it looks like it's got like some Cards Against Humanity vibes. Some
correct, yeah.
There's this game I played one time called we didn't play test this, and it has a lot of really goofy rules in it. And I was looking through kind of your PDF listing, and looks there's some cool like shared DNA there. It feels like.
Yeah, so a year ago we were playing. I forgot what game we were playing. I was playing with.
It was Hot Seat.
Hot Seat.
Yeah.
And I saw how deep they were cutting into each other, and they were having a blast. So I was like, I think there's something to this, between family members and friends. So I did a lot of research, and yeah, I think if you play a game with your closest friends, and if it's structured in the right way, you can have a lot of fun while at the same time grilling your friends. So we've done a lot of research, and the idea of the game is that you have questions that are deliberately asked in a way for your friends to answer about you. So like one of them is, what is one reason parents would not want me around their kids? And your friends know exactly the reason, and they'll you you write it down. And everybody writes it down, and then whatever's funniest, they pick it. Where the QR code comes in is, let's say you're playing with somebody that you may not know that well. You scan the QR code, and an answer will appear, and you can use that answer, or you can use it as a starting point. So, like, let's say you're playing, and the answer is one of the answers is a Jew fro mixed with a mullet. So, and then you can like, oh yeah, they do have funky hair, so I'm gonna just go after that. And when we played it in Florida, they went after my hairline quite a bit. My friend had a petty stash, so we went ham on that. But that's the beauty of it. And we also have action cards, and they're a different color and a different orientation on purpose. So if you pick up the card, so let's say you are playing together, and you pick up the card and you see me do this. That means one of you has to do something. This one says point to have them point to the most have them point to who's more attractive, the person to the left or the right. So now, if I pick David, he has to pick who's more attractive, and if he doesn't do it, he's out of the game. And if you do it, you just stay in the game. So that's more ammunition for your friends to use against you later on in the game. So that's the whole purpose of it, is to create an atmosphere for your friends to make fun of you and continue to make fun of you, as the game plays along.
There's going to be a lot of tension for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of tension.
I love that the action card creates like right away tension, like, because it's like as soon as you pick whoever you're picking, you're automatically, without saying it, calling the other person ugly.
Yeah.
it creates like this air, like, oh, word, like,
Correct.
so
It's like,
I like that.
it's like when you're playing Truth or Dare back in the day, right? And everybody would be like, truth. Ain't nobody, people are afraid of Dare. They're like, what are they going to ask me to do?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's fine.
And there's one card that's meant to create even more tension, and that's it's called the fuck that card. So if you get this card, you hold on to it, and if somebody else picks an action card, they could pick you, and you could use that card, and you don't have to do that action. But they're not going to pick you because they know that you have that card. So they pick somebody else, and that other person will say, "Dude, can you give me that card? I need that card." And you say, "Well, what are you going to do for me?" And that could turn into, I'll wash your car, I'll give you all my points. Wow. So it creates like a desperation because they don't want to do that action that they're being asked to do.
And if they don't do the action, they're out.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
Out. I'm saying if they don't do the action, they're out of the game.
Yep.
So there's really, no option.
That's
Now, I really like that, because my favorite part about playing Monopoly is not following the rules of Monopoly and just coming up with any what are the extra incentives? They're like, hey, sell me that property, and I'll come up with 50,000 requirements that have nothing to do with the game of Monopoly. I'm like, you're gonna make me a sandwich in the morning, and you need to give me this much money, and when I land on the property, you're not gonna charge me rent the first 4 times. I come up with all this stuff. So it's interesting that built into the game, there's space for those type of like side deals or whatever. I like
Correct.
that.
Yep.
Bartering.
Cool.
I dig it. I think the QR code is really clever, because like it definitely limits it, right? If it's a game you can only play with like people incredibly well, it limits it a little bit. I think the QR code is a clever way to like mix that up a little bit.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, and that's when we were doing some early research. That's one of the issues that we saw on a lot of games. So now we're like, okay, how do we fix this? How can we make the experience better? And also, it creates, a few years down the line, we will have different answers and more choices of answers. So if the buyer, buys this game and there's only, let's say, 100 of these answers that it pulls from, in 2-3 years, it could have 500. So the game grows with that one-time purchase.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that too because it'll also give you an idea of like, even if you're not going to use whatever the QR code is telling you, it might give you like a genre of ideas you should think about now. That's like, oh yeah, I could roast them for like, it says shoes or something, and it's like, oh, well, they got them ugly ass Birkenstocks or something. I can roast them for that. You know what I mean? I think that's dope. What's as the tech nerd here? What's how does that work? Like, you have these QR codes. Do you guys have like are you guys like paying for like a database or
so we have a
like
computer.
is it a service or something to like feed them those answers?
Yeah, it's a server that we have on AWS.
Nice.
And it's a database that we created, and we're constantly changing. And we chose AWS just because their network, it's fairly cheap to operate, but their networks are 10 Gs. So it doesn't matter if you play in California, it doesn't matter if you play in New Jersey, you're going to get a good response back. If we did it in-house and the electricity goes out here, then people can't scan. So that's one of the primary reasons why we chose AWS specifically, because we want the best customer experience possible.
Which one you guys set up the database?
I did, yeah.
This guy.
Me, yeah.
I still don't understand it. I have no clue what's going on with it. I do the design work. I made cards high quality, things like that. But the database, it's over my head.
Yeah.
You're about to ask him what database he's running, Booch. We're gonna get into a MariaDB talk.
Nah, like I'm a programmer, like as like my both as like a hobby, but also like for my job. So I'm interested in that type of stuff.
We could talk. I could go through the whole thing. Yeah,
how all that stuff is set up.
Yeah. We can talk offline if you want, because I could talk about that stuff for hours. But people also they don't have to scan the QR code. When we beta tested it last year, there was people that were hardcore, like, no, I'm going to come up with my own answer. So, like, let's say you're up in the boonies with your friends and you let's say the lights go out and you can't scan it. You don't have to scan it, right? You could still play the game as is without technology even being involved, right? So,
So tell me about this 3D printed version of the game. What is different between that and like the standard like card version?
It's just going to be like a limited edition box, essentially.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's censored. It's censored. It's still patent pending. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the box.
Yeah.
It's got a little slot for the markers.
Yep.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate some well-made packaging.
Yeah.
It makes me very happy seeing well-made packaging.
I like that.
Yeah, like that. Smooth. It's like an Apple box.
That's super nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, no, that's fun.
And yeah, we call it the Magnum because it's 3D printed and it's harder than the regular box. But we thought that for us it's a more economical way of providing. But it's also different too. That instead of raffling off the game itself, what about a different game that can be a collector's item in the future? Because where we see this game going is not just the game. We want to project this into more of a community. With the social media, we this raffle we want to do it every single year. So we really want to get people that have that same mindset. And by doing small things like this later on, we're like, who has the 3D printed box? And now that essentially could be a collector's item for people that are really, really into the game and into the ideology of the game.